I had just poured myself a cold glass of sweet tea and was about to kick back for the evening when the front door burst open. My buddy Jason rushed in, out of breath, his voice cracking like he'd sprinted the whole way across town. "Dude, you need to see this." "No." At first, I rolled my eyes. Jason's not really the over-the-top type, so part of me figured this was some dumb meme or a prank. But the look in his eyes, I knew it wasn't that. Something was seriously off. He shoved his phone into my hand, and the screen lit up with noise and chaos. It was a video. Looked like it was filmed at a bar, people cheering, music blasting, lights flashing. I didn't really register much at first. But then, I saw her. My wife, Megan. She was on top of the bar counter, laughing, swaying like she didn't have a care in the world. And the worst part? Her shirt was off. She had nothing on up top except a black bra, arms in the air like she was the queen of the damn place. Then came the moment that split my life in two. Some guy, tall, built like a tank, with tattoos all down his arms and a leather jacket with a flaming skull on the back, climbed up on the bar beside her. Didn't ask permission. Just grabbed her by the waist and started grinding on her like they'd done it 100 times. And Megan, she didn't stop him. She didn't pull away. She laughed. Threw her head back and laughed like she was right where she wanted to be. I just stood there staring at the screen. My whole body felt like it locked up. My drink sat on the counter, melting ice untouched, just like me, frozen on the outside but boiling inside. Where the hell was this taken? I finally asked, my voice low and steady. Jason hesitated. "Couple hours ago. That biker bar off Highway 19. They're still there, man." I didn't say another word. Didn't yell. Didn't cry. Didn't throw the phone. I set my glass down real calm, grabbed my keys off the hook by the door, and just said 4 words that Jason still tells people about to this day. "I'll be right back." Then I left. The parking lot of that bar looked like a damn Harley dealership. Bikes lined up in crooked rows, chrome glinting in the neon light from the busted sign above the door. Some folks stood outside smoking, laughing like they didn't have a worry in the world. None of them looked at me as I stepped out of my truck. I didn't care. I had tunnel vision. The second I walked in, I was hit with a wall of sound and heat, music blasting, the smell of sweat and beer thick in the air. It was packed, but I wasn't really seeing any of it. I was looking for one thing. And there she was. Megan. Still on that damn bar, heels planted on either side of a tray of shot glasses like it was her stage. Her hair was messy, her eyes half-lidded, that same soft smile on her face like none of this was real. And standing right next to her, yeah, it was him, the leather-jacketed biker with the flaming skull. He was still up there with her, hamming it up for the crowd, one hand casually resting on her waist like he knew it belonged there. And she didn't flinch. Didn't even notice me at first. I wanted to scream her name, but it stuck in my throat. My hands curled into fists at my sides. My heart was pounding harder than the bass in the speakers, but I didn't charge in. I walked, slow and steady, straight through the mess of people until I was standing just a few feet from the bar. "Megan!" I shouted, loud enough to cut through the noise. She turned, finally, and for a second, just a second, her smile dropped. I saw it in her eyes. Recognition. Then guilt. Then something I still can't name. She stumbled a little, like the music wasn't keeping her up anymore. The guy beside her turned around too, looked down at me with this smug-ass grin like he owned the place. "You lost, man," he said, hopping off the bar like this was a damn movie. I didn't look at him. I kept my eyes on her. "I'm talking to my wife." That got people's attention. A little bubble started to form around us, the kind of space that always opens up right before something bad happens. Megan looked down at me, mouth open but saying nothing. The biker chuckled. "Your wife?" "Nah, bro. That ship already sailed." 2 more guys flanked him. One was bald with a long beard, the other wore mirrored sunglasses even though we were indoors at night. They didn't say a word, just stood there like a warning. I kept my voice calm. "Look, I'm not here to throw hands. I just want her to come down so we can go home. That's all." The biker leaned in just a bit, still wearing that same smug expression. "She doesn't want to go home." "Know how I know?" He turned slightly toward his guys. Because she already did. Those words hit harder than any punch. He didn't even have to raise his voice. Just stood there, confident, like he knew exactly what kind of bomb he'd dropped. And me? I just stood there, feeling like the floor had given out from under me. My jaw clenched. My pulse was hammering in my ears. And Megan, she still hadn't said anything. Not one word. The bald guy stepped forward just a little. Not a full move, just enough to make it clear this could get physical if I pushed it. And honestly, every part of me wanted to push it. My pride, my heartbreak, my rage, they were all screaming for me to throw that first punch. But I didn't. I took a step back. Just one. Then I looked at Megan one last time. Her face had gone pale. That smile from earlier? Gone. She looked like someone who had just realized they were standing on a cliff edge in the dark. Maybe it was the booze wearing off. Maybe it was the truth hitting her all at once. Or maybe she was just scared. But it didn't matter anymore. Whatever we had, whatever trust, whatever connection, it had snapped. Quietly. Like a thread finally giving in to the weight. I nodded once. That was all. And I walked out. The music picked back up behind me like nothing had happened. People laughed again. Drinks clinked. It was like the moment never existed. But for me, everything had changed. The drive home felt like a dream I wasn't in. I don't remember the turns. I don't remember the headlights. I don't remember the way my fingers gripped the steering wheel. I just remember the quiet hum of the tires on the road and the storm playing on repeat in my head. Her laugh. Her silence. His voice. Because she already did. When I pulled into the driveway, the porch light blinked on like it always did. Same house. Same yard. Same neighborhood. But it didn't feel like mine anymore. Not really. I didn't go to our bedroom. I didn't sit on the couch. I went straight to my office, the room in the back of the house with one window and a desk that knew more about me than she probably ever did. That little room had seen every late night, every big decision, every hour I'd worked to build a future. I sat down at my desk. No tears. No yelling. No broken glass. Just cold, clean focus. I opened my laptop, and the glow of the screen pulled me into the only place I felt in control. This was my space. Logic lived here. Not feelings. Not confusion. Just code. Just clarity. I started typing. No clear plan at first. Just movement. Just the need to do something. I pulled up server logs, access tools, backdoors I'd built years ago and left dormant. Old freelance gigs. Networks I'd helped set up for businesses who didn't know half the holes in their security systems. I didn't need permission. I built some of these systems. I remembered the back doors. This wasn't revenge. Not yet. It was curiosity. Controlled curiosity. Who the hell was that guy? I found the bar's public-facing cameras. Turns out they used a cloud system I'd once configured for a client in that area. One of 100 small-town businesses I'd helped get digitally modern. It didn't take long to dig into their archives and pull up footage. There he was. Flaming skull jacket. Tattoos winding up both arms. That smirk like the world owed him something. I paused the frame, cleaned it up, and fed it into a facial recognition loop I'd written a year back. It combed through image databases and matched faces against biker forums and old social profiles. Hit came back fast. Tyler Maddox. Age 38. Former Army. Ran with a biker crew that wasn't officially a gang, but definitely didn't ride for charity. It was less of a club and more of a drinking circle on wheels, known for bar fights and weekend rides that ended in places cops avoided after dark. I dug deeper. He had a public profile. Bold, like he thought he was untouchable. Photos of him and the same crew that had stood between me and Megan. Posts about rides, bar crawls, rallies in the hills. I scrolled through like I was flipping through someone else's scrapbook. Then I found the weak spots. He wasn't rich. Far from it. He had debts. A title loan on his bike. 2 maxed-out credit cards. No steady work. Just the illusion of control. He wasn't some shadowy kingpin. He was just another loud guy with a borrowed sense of power. Someone people followed because he talked loud and walked like he owned the street. But strength, real strength, it isn't loud. It's precise, strategic, quiet. I opened a blank file on my screen. Typed one word in bold at the top. Motion. I didn't know what I was going to do next. Not exactly. But I knew where it would happen. Not in that bar. Not with fists or shouting or another scene. It would happen right here. Behind this screen. In silence. And he wouldn't even see it coming. Within an hour, I had enough to know where he lived, when he usually rode, even where his crew was planning their next meetup. I posted on their biker forum, anonymously, of course. I mimicked their lingo, tossed in some vague warning. Heard the cops are asking questions about Milltown. Someone's been talking. That was it. I didn't need to say more. I knew how men like Tyler operated, all ego and paranoia. Just plant the seed and let it rot from the inside. A few hours later, someone replied to that post, saying they were pulling out of the ride. A few others started asking why Tyler hadn't responded. Exactly what I wanted. But I wasn't done. I found an old listing Tyler had used to sell motorcycle parts. It still had his number attached. And because he's lazy, it was still tied to his current profile. So I spoofed a text from the local police department's number. You've been named in an active investigation related to an incident at the Red Rooster Bar. Call before 5 p.m. I don't know if he believed it. But I know he didn't like it. 10 minutes later, he went radio silent on that forum, and the thread blew up with people getting nervous. One guy flat out said, "I'm not writing if pigs are watching." Perfect. That evening, I drove past Tyler's apartment complex, just to see. I didn't get out. Didn't need to. I saw him come out around 5:15, pacing the sidewalk like a guy who just realized he wasn't the predator anymore. Phone to his ear. Jumpy as hell. Looking around like shadows had teeth. Then he jumped on his bike and peeled out of there fast. I didn't smile. This wasn't about feeling victorious. This was about control. I went back home, poured another coffee, and thought about Megan. Still no word from her. No calls. No texts. The last message she'd sent me was from 3 weeks earlier, asking if I could pick up milk. And now, after everything, nothing. I didn't need to know where she was or who she woke up next to. That wasn't my problem anymore. What mattered was that I'd seen the truth. That moment at the bar? That was the death certificate for our marriage. Everything after was just formalities. People think revenge is about big gestures, fistfights, explosions, screaming matches. But real revenge, it's subtle, it's slow. It's pressure applied exactly where it hurts most, in silence, when no one sees you coming. And Tyler? He was cracking. You could hear it in the way he disappeared from the forums. You could see it in how his crew started whispering. They didn't trust him. They started skipping rides, ignoring his calls. All because someone, somewhere, was pulling strings in the dark. That someone was me. And I was just getting started. By the end of that week, I could feel the cracks spreading, not just in Tyler's little world, but hers too. Still no word from Megan. Not a text. Not a call. Nothing. The house stayed silent, her side of the bed untouched. Honestly, I didn't even know if she was still in town. I didn't care. If she walked through the front door right then, it would have been like watching a stranger step into my house. She'd made her choice. And I'd made mine. What she didn't know, what none of them knew, was that this wasn't about one night at a bar anymore. It wasn't about catching her in the act or throwing a tantrum. I was past all that. I wasn't looking to get even. I was looking to unmake the illusion they were both living in. I was already 3 steps ahead of Tyler. He thought the paranoia on the forum was bad? I submitted another anonymous tip to the police. Different angle this time. Said he might be holding illegal parts behind the garage of a shop he used. Dropped a few keywords that would show up in a VIN check. A few days later, word got out that cops had paid the place a visit. Didn't arrest anyone. Didn't find anything. But they asked questions. Enough to make guys nervous. And nervous crews? They don't stick around long. By the next ride, no one showed up. Not a single guy from Tyler's crew. He rolled up to that bar like he always did, expecting the usual circle of bikes, beers, and ego. But the lot was empty. I know because I drove by. Parked across the street, sunglasses on, windows cracked. Just watching. And there he was, standing outside, checking his phone, pacing like a guy whose house had burned down, but he hadn't smelled the smoke until it was too late. Eventually, he went inside. Alone. No one followed. No backup. No brothers. Nothing. I heard from someone on the forum later, a guy I'd messaged through a burner account, that there had been tension. That a few people thought Tyler was the reason cops kept sniffing around. That he brought drama into the crew and maybe it was time to ride without him. That was all I needed to hear. As for Megan, I started seeing the signs that the world was catching up to her, too. She didn't know I had mutual contacts at her school, people who didn't even know me well, but were more than happy to gossip. Word had spread. A video of a half-naked teacher grinding on a biker at a local dive bar? That doesn't exactly scream role model. A friend of a friend told me the school board had a meeting about it. The kind of meeting where no one wants to fire you directly. They just want you to take some time off, reflect, and quietly disappear. The official term was administrative leave. I didn't gloat. Didn't post anything. Didn't brag. But in the back of my mind, I thought, actions have consequences. And Megan had never really believed that before. She'd always had a way of getting out of things. Talked her way through awkward moments. Smiled her way through guilt. She thought charm could erase everything. But charm doesn't help when the whole town's whispering behind your back. And me? I kept my hands clean. I didn't scream. Didn't show up at her job. Didn't confront her. I just let the truth circulate. And I kept moving. Tyler's finances hit another wall. That subtle red flag I planted on his credit report finally blocked one of his cards. I know, because I'd tied a trigger script to the report pull. The alert pinged my burner email when the status updated. Meanwhile, I was still feeding his paranoia. He got another message. Same untraceable number. Simple words. You're not in control anymore. He didn't respond. He couldn't. Because the thing about guys like Tyler, they only know how to fight something they can see. And I made sure he never saw me. By this point, the whole thing had taken on a rhythm. I'd wake up, make coffee, check the news, check the burner accounts, and quietly watch the world fold around the two people who thought they could blow up my life without consequences. Tyler was unraveling. Not in some dramatic, crash his bike into a wall way. No, it was slower than that. Sadder. He'd stopped showing up online. His name had practically disappeared from the biker forum he used to run like a second home. And when his name did come up, it was always in the same sentence as snitch or heat. I didn't need to be in the room to know the vibe had shifted. His crew wasn't dumb. They might have been loud, reckless, and drunk half the time, but they knew when something smelled wrong. And right now, Tyler stank like someone being watched. One guy on the forum, screen name Hillrider42, flat out said he was done. Too much heat. Tyler's name comes up every time now. Someone's feeding info. That's all it took. I watched Tyler's empire, his little world of beer-fueled loyalty and fake power, collapse one cautious post at a time. And I didn't even have to raise my voice. Meanwhile, back at home, things were quiet. Megan still hadn't come back. I checked her credit card statement. Don't judge, it was still linked to our joint account. She was staying in a cheap rental on the other side of town. Maybe with someone. Maybe alone. I didn't care. She bought groceries once. Some wine. Nothing fancy. No movement after that. Just silence. I think part of her expected me to call. To yell. To demand an explanation. But I didn't give her the satisfaction. I wanted her to sit in it. Let the silence wrap around her like a blanket soaked in guilt. I wanted her to wake up each morning and wonder if everyone at the coffee shop had seen the video. If the school board would ever call again. If I'd ever look at her like a human being instead of a virus I'd finally flushed from my system. The longer I didn't speak to her, the more I knew she was thinking about it. She used to love being the center of attention. Now she couldn't walk into a grocery store without wondering if someone recognized her. I didn't need to confront her. The weight of her own choices was doing that job just fine. And Tyler? Well, he got one more visit from the police. Not a dramatic arrest or anything. Just a quiet pull into the station. Standard questioning. But they had questions about stolen bike parts, VIN numbers, missing garage camera footage, and a fake buyer who'd apparently ghosted him after contacting him through a trade site. Guess who sent that buyer message? Yeah, that was me. He wasn't charged. They didn't even detain him. But they looked at him. And for guys like Tyler, that's enough to rattle everything loose. That night, I sent one final message. Same untraceable number. Same deadpan tone. Game over. And I meant it. Because it was. I thought I'd feel something big when it was all over. Some sense of justice, maybe. Some epic feeling of closure. But I didn't. I just felt done. The weight was still there, but it was different now. Not heavy with betrayal, just heavy with the silence that comes after a storm. That kind of silence where you realize you've seen too much to ever go back to who you were before. Tyler never recovered. He didn't get arrested. He didn't get beat up or exposed in some dramatic way. But he lost what mattered to him, his crew, his rep, his grip on things. Word on the forum was that he'd stopped showing up to rides completely. A guy who used to bark orders and post pictures every other day had gone quiet. The kind of quiet that makes people whisper. I got an alert the day he listed his bike for sale. One of his guys, a younger one I'd messaged anonymously a few times just to stir the pot, posted a screenshot. Guess he's finally tapping out. I didn't comment. Didn't need to. And Megan? She faded in a different way. People stopped talking about her eventually. The scandal didn't last forever. That's how these things go. Small-town shame burns hot, then turns cold fast. But the burn marks? They don't leave. She lost the job. Officially on leave. But I knew they'd never bring her back. Parents started whispering. Someone tagged the school in the video thread. That was the end of that. I hadn't seen her since that night in the bar. I didn't expect to. Then one day, maybe a week or two after the dust settled, I walked into this quiet cafe I used to go to when things were normal. Just me, a cold black coffee, and the sound of people living their lives. And there she was. Megan. She was standing at the counter, ordering like she didn't know how to exist in public anymore. Hair tied back. No makeup. Same hoodie she used to sleep in. She looked smaller somehow, not physically, just dimmer. She glanced around the room like she felt eyes on her, even if there weren't any. Then our eyes met. Neither of us said anything. She didn't come over. I didn't wave. She sat down by the window and wrapped both hands around her drink like she needed it to anchor her. Stared out at the street, not really seeing it. That was the moment I knew I didn't love her anymore. Not even a little. It wasn't hate, either. It was nothing. And nothing is worse than hate. Nothing is final. I left the cafe without saying a word. Walked out into the street, sun on my face, cold wind in my jacket, and for the first time in a long time, I felt light. Free. I'd done what I needed to do. Not to ruin them, but to make sure they didn't ruin me. People say revenge is a poison you drink yourself. They're wrong. Betrayal is the poison. Revenge is the antidote. And once it's out of your system, you move on. You breathe again. You stop needing to explain it. You stop caring if anyone understands. You walk forward. And you never, ever look back. Thank you for visited my YouTube channel. Your support, likes, and comments truly inspire me to create even more engaging content. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. You're a part of this amazing community, and I'm thrilled to share my stories with you. See you in the next video on YouTube.